Hello, CISD, ISD, and welcome to the 2019-2020 school year. I'm so excited to kick off this new year and appreciate all the work that has gone on this summer to help us prepare for the new school year. We've had so much work occur around all of our core values of relationships, redefining success and engagement, but especially this summer we've been working hard on great teaching. As we continue our efforts with some of our strategic design work, you will see some of the fruits of our labor regarding great teaching in CISD ISD. From the hard work that occurred this summer with our curriculum writing, the development and expansion of our high priority learning standards, and so much more, professional learning in CISD ISD is thriving and alive and well. We're excited to be able to bring information to you to help you as you impact children every day in the classroom. Thank you for the work that you do, and I appreciate all you do to help every child in CISD be successful.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the 2019-2020 school year, and welcome to all of our new educators to CISD. I'm just going to tell you just a brief overview of some of the different pieces right here that we will have for curriculum, instruction, and assessment for CISD, and also just give some shout outs right quick to some of the work that has happened over the summer. Shout out to all of the educators that were able to come and be a part of the process for our high priority learning standards, for curriculum writing, for our review of standards-based report cards for K through 3, as well as just all of the additional professional learning that has happened this summer. We had some amazing sessions that were happening for our academic side when we're thinking about content areas, as well as that social emotional side for learners, as well as for educators. Some incredible conferences happened this summer, and we could not have done it without all of our wonderful presenters. So thank you so much. As we're going into this school year, we're really trying to provide more consistency and clarity for all of you that are in the classroom day to day with our learners. And so some of the work that we have done this summer, we're really trying to capture so that way we can tell the story and that you can all be aware of the different pieces as we're going through the year, and also the different resources and supports that we have available within the district. As we're going through and thinking about our overview of high priority learning standards, curriculum writing, and once again that alignment, our big focus is to do with PLCs, those professional learning communities, and really seeing how we're using our collaborative teams in order to have with different pieces of instruction and lesson design, but also to really creating those solid foundational relationships, not only within our teams, but also with our kids. So as we're thinking about all those different pieces, and you're going to hear a lot about some of the different resources here this first week, as well as throughout the school year, some of those pieces that you may hear about are going to be NWEA MAP, which is going to be an assessment tool that we'll be utilizing in the district. Thinking about Schoology, how we're using that as our learning management system, Schoology AMP for common formative assessments, lots of resources such as iStation, Dreambox, and then also too, thinking about our bulb portfolios that we have for how we're showcasing digital learning and how we're also being able to have our learners showcase learning in different ways. As we're going through the year, you're going to hear more and more about community-based accountability, and so I just kind of want to throw that word out there to you if you haven't heard about that. You will hear some more about what our district is doing to find other ways to measure success for our kids when we're thinking about some of our strategic design work, as well as redefining success. And then we're also going to be thinking about how are we taking in that data to look at the whole child, really looking at that academic side as well as the social emotional side to be able to really help all of our kids as well as all of our staff in creating the best education possible in CISD.
Since 2006, the Coppell Independent School District has been involved in the work around the visioning document. It continues to this day to be our anchor for the digital learning environment that we provide for our learners, the standards in which we say are important and what we believe they must master in order to be successful, productive citizens and human beings. It is our work around why we do what we do. The visioning document defines our why, and it will continue to do so. But the supporting piece for that is our what. As you walk into classrooms in the Coppell Independent school district, what does transformation look like? And our learning framework details that information for you. It sets out, what should a learning environment look like in CISD? What does the physical environment look like? How is the virtual environment supportive of learning for all students at high levels? What does the social emotional environment look like? And you've heard a lot about that this summer, and if you weren't able to come to our conference, you're certainly going to have the opportunity to hear more about that moving into this next school year. It supports the what around design. We want our learners to be exposed to a variety of brain-based learning strategies, and that's whether you are a learner in a classroom or you're a professional educator attending professional learning in the district, as well as it supports the idea of design around inquiry and constructivism, that you have to own that information. That is our what. But the next step in providing the alignment between why and what is how. And moving into this next school year, what you're going to see is that as a support for you as educators, because we do believe you're craftsmen in your classrooms, that you're highly skilled artists at what you do, we're providing the how to do some of those things outlined in the what through our professional learning. So you'll start to see tags on our professional learning choices during the fall and moving throughout the school year. So how does this session support the what from the learning framework? How does this support the brain-based strategies? How does this support creating an environment that is conducive to learning? How does this support curriculum? You're going to learn an awful lot today about the work that's been done around curriculum. We're super duper excited about where we are going and how this can support you in the 4 questions that you should be answering in your professional learning communities around deep levels of learning for all students.
So this summer, we brought in some speakers, or the district brought in some speakers for us. And they really taught us about high priority learning standards, or HPLS. And the high priority learning standards is basically taking a look at all of the curriculum, taking a look at what the state tells us what our standards are, and then having a discussion between the teachers, all of the stakeholders within CISD that are important, getting them all together and saying, now what are really the most important things that we need our kids to learn?
Once our teams decided on those high priority learning standards, we went through clarifying them in those smaller course teams, and we talked about what does that standard actually mean, what does it look like, what does it look like when we assess it, what level of rigor are we looking at, and then how can we connect this to the ELPS and how can we help our English language learners achieve mastery on these standards. Then that led into curriculum work, where our teams took those high priority learning standards and saw how can we make connections with our day-to-day lessons and assessments and tie it back to those high priority learning standards. I think that a lot of our work in our classrooms is done in a great way. Everything's awesome, except that sometimes we get on tangents that aren't necessarily the most important things. So our work over the summer was really supposed to gear us back into anchoring our work in those high priority learning standards so that we are focusing on the right things with our learners.
And so we started off as a group. We learned how we were going to go through this process in a similar way so that we were being strategic about the way that we were selecting the high priority learning standards. And then we broke off into content teams. Once we had a process that we knew everyone was going to follow, then we, as a content team, broke into grade levels, and we looked at our standards. In English language arts and Spanish language arts, we have new standards this year, so we really had to dig deep into the standards and decide what were going to be those high priority learning standards for every single grade level. And then once the grade level selected them individually, we got into vertical teams, and we just made sure that our vertical alignment was in place so that we were making sure that not something that was high priority in lower grades was going to naturally blend into the upper grades as well. And so there was a natural progression for our high priority learning standards.
It was amazing how we lined up. It was exciting to see a group of key educators come together and have a voice in this process, because they are the ones who implement TEKS and make them come alive, and we were aligned. That was just a fraction of the work. Our high priority learning standards that were identified were highlighted and put on large posters in this vertical alignment going across the room. And then there was another set of eyes put on it. Our curriculum director, Dr. De La Isla, and Dr. Applegate looked at it, and it was tweaked yet again. And there was the magic of the work. Everything was up there. We had our high priority learning standards. And from there, you had to look at our district documents in terms of standard-based report cards to align those. That was another day of work. And along with that, we had to get together and redo curriculum documents to reflect our high priority learning standards and to align our new ELAR TEKS and to encompass our units of study for both reading and writing.
This is collaborative. It has buy-in from educators of all different levels, and I'm hoping that kind of team culture, that spirit, will spread throughout the entire district as we roll this out and we get this to all the teachers who weren't able to participate in the process. And I really think ultimately this is going to be absolutely amazing for our kids. It's going to make the teachers' lives easier, and it's going to help them know when it's appropriate to stop what they're doing and intervene and make sure that kid gets where they need to be. So that's what's going to be really awesome about this. It's going to be super helpful for all of us.
Now teachers can really build intentional learning experiences because they're very focused around the HPLS, or the high priority learning standards. In order to get us to those HPLS, we did some tests, like we did the REAL test. The REAL test stands for readiness, so we look at the standard to see, does it fit readiness? The E is for endurance. How long are they going to really have to know the standard? The A is for assessed. So is the standard really assessed? How often is it assessed? Why is it that important? And the L is for leverage. Can they leverage this throughout other disciplines?
After we identified those standards, kind of organically as a huge K-12 team, we started putting our standards up on a wall, and we saw kindergarten. Here's your high priority learning standards. First grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, all the way up through, and then you could see right down to IB chemistry and things like that, what these kids really needed to get. So once that wall was complete, that's where I think the aha and the why behind all this became really clear.
Doing this work as a district helps to align all of our campuses. It's not fair if a student who's learning at East has a better education with better standards than a student at North, so we want to make sure that all of our schools are aligned in what we're doing and what we're focusing on. So doing this at the district level really helps to make sure that all of our schools are teaching at high levels and are addressing all of our learners.
Thank you again for all that you do, and we can't wait to continue learning alongside you here in CISD as we go through this school year. Thank you.